Warning, this podcast contains adult language, mature situations, manga critiques, the latest manga news, and the wheel of manga for over 15 years, and we don't intend to stop. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to the 515th episode of the Spiraken Manga Review. I'm your host, Zan, saying konnichiwa, aloha, bonjour, and what's up? Hope you're doing well out there and hope you're excited for another fun-filled and, more importantly, amazing episode of this podcast because this is a momentous day. It's a special day because this is our 515th episode and it is our 15-year anniversary. That's right. On May 15th, 2008, we started this little podcast as the Spiraken Manga Review, and since then we have evolved, changed, and made ourselves even more possible and more awesome. And because of that, well, we're kicking butt, taking names, and just being awesome. But if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Spiraken some podcasts and making reviews about connectly enhanced narratives, meaning every episode we talk about one or two geeky topics and tell you the pros and cons about. This is the manga review, obviously we're talking about manga. Also, we are on YouTube, Facebook, Stitcher, and Instagram. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notification. And just type in Spiraken in the search bar if you're looking for us one way or the other. And there's so much that we do and so many awesome things that we talk about. But with that in mind, before we go into some of the nostalgia points, let's get to the actual manga review of the episode. Because if you remember for the last episode, I spun that one, that only, the Wheel of Manga. And it dictated there reviewing a manga that was written by a very unique individual by the name of Yuhki Kamatani. And this was published by Kodansha, meaning it was released over here by Kodansha Comics. Its original run was 2010 to 2014. This is an oldie. This is over 10 years old. And this is a very old manga that finally got a release recently. It was released in Monthly Morning 2 magazine. There are 8 volumes. And it is a sentence series that is a coming-of-age story and a singing manga. I know, two things that should not mix, but they do for some reason. And the original title for this unique story was Shonen Note, or, as we know it in the US, it is Shonen Note Boy Soprano. And this is a story of a young boy who is, well, very unique. His name is Aoi Yutaka, and he is 11 years old, and he is transferring into his middle school. And he is special because of his voice. He has the voice of an angel. He is a boy soprano. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with singing, sopranos are high-pitched. Generally, boys start off when they're younger, they have very high pitches, and then as we grow up and we hit puberty, our voices change. They deepen, they become deeper and louder. And in the singing world, that means you become a tenor or a baritone or a bass. And Yutaka is unique because he's someone who has the voice of a professional, and he is an amazing singer. But also he's someone who's kind of emotional. He has a weird sensitivity to music and sound. And like when he hears people singing, he'll burst into tears for no reason because it's so beautiful. Or if he hears arguing, he picks up on that and becomes argumentative as well. Or if he hears raindrops, he gets kind of depressed. And this is the story of him starting middle school or junior high and what he wants to do with his life. And after joining and his mother explaining his unique sensitivity to singing and the fact that during the middle of a meeting he broke down into tears for no reason, he is accepted to go to the school and he ends up falling in love with the choir. He hears them practicing before the opening ceremony and he just is drawn to them. It's like, that music's beautiful, I want to join. And they see this kid who's just hanging on a fence listening, and they say, what the hell, kid, what are you doing here? He's like, I love your music, I want to join. And the president, Akitoshi, is like, okay, fine. You want to join the choir? Let's hear what you got. And the vice captain of the choir, Midori Machiya, is like, no, this kid's just a fake. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not good. And Yutaka sings. And he sings like an angel. It is beautiful. It is momentous. And it draws everybody out there. And they're like, oh my God, this kid's the real deal. It's so pure and amazing. Meanwhile, Machia's like, nah, this is fake. This is total fake. He's got to be doing something weird. No kid could be that pure. And so Yutaka ends up joining the choir. And eventually they discover that his voice is that purity, is that innocent. He'll wake up in the morning and just listen to the noises, and because of the happy noise around him, he'll just start to sing like a Disney princess. And people will just hear this beautiful voice echoing all over the place. And for some people who have to work really hard at it, it's very different. They're like, oh my God, I'm super envious of you, but your voice is like a national treasure. And so he ends up joining the choir, and they said, okay, you're the only other boy besides the president who's there, so we're going to use you to draw people in. We'll win a bunch of competitions. It's going to be great. Which would be fine, except that the actual president of the sponsor of the academy really doesn't like him because reasons. He's kind of a douche because he's the sponsor of the club, and he's like, you know what? You got a really nice voice there, but you know what's going to happen? In like a year, your voice is going to break, and then you're not going to be pretty anymore, so enjoy it while you can. And like, what the hell, man? He's a kid who likes singing. Why are you going to crush him like that? I don't care. This is the type of sponsor who doesn't show up. He leaves the captain and chair captain to run everything while he just does his own thing. He's kind of a prick about it. But despite that, he ends up joining the choir and loving it, interacting with everybody and just being beautiful with this. Now, on the other hand, the sponsor for the band and the Reed Club hears Yutaka's voice and is like, why are we just having him join our choir, which has never gotten first place ever? We've won one competition, but we were in second place. Why don't we put him in the opera? If he only has this limited amount of time, let's let him shine. Have him just draw out there. And this is the story of him trying to shine, trying to get out there, and seeing his potential. And one of the things I love about this story is that when people sing, it shows their interpretations from his point of view. He points out that Machia, whenever she sings, she sounds like she's in a forest. And when she sings, it shows her in the middle of a forest. Another time, he's singing a song called Cosmos in a cafe, and everybody's transported to this cafe into the cosmos. They see stars in the world. And it's a very surreal and beautiful image that works really well for it. And it gives it a kind of whimsical element to this story, which is about a young boy who's trying to use his talent before he loses it, and this very transient gift that he has, because it's the nature of things for boys' voice to change, and this is going to happen. There's no way he can stop this. And one of his rivals that he ends up getting is a young Russian boy who's also soprano, who's losing his high-pitched voice, and he's slightly envious of Yutaka for where he's at in this. And it's something which you would think is kind of intriguing and engaging, but it's something you've never thought of before. If you're in the music world, you'll love it. I mean, one of my favorite elements is when he first hears opera. They take him to Carmen, and he's just drawn into it, and he hears the fun and the whimsicalness of the story and the singing, and he's like, I want to do this. But I also want to do choir, because when I'm in choir, I'm with my friends and I don't feel lonely. So he's decided to do both of them, do opera and do choir while also going to school. He's kind of crazy like that. And that's what he wants to do. But it could be a good thing, or it could be a really bad thing. You have to wait and see how it all ends, because in the end, it's his decision and what happens in his life. And I've got to say, this is a story that is one that I didn't expect to be so thorough in its telling about everything going on. It gets into the basics of what singing is, and it shows you him being a tenor and him working on, or him being a soprano, him working on it. And more importantly, the story does show some amazing moments. And I love the actual tankobon, the actual graphic novel. It is beautiful. It smells like new manga. It is kind of thick, and they have color pages that work so well. Like that opening scene of him crying when they're singing the school song. It just pops, and then the surreal images are great. Now, here's the thing where it goes wrong. This is a seinen series that obviously with seinen, it's either ultra-violent, manly stuff, or it's take your mind off of things, escape from the world, and I don't want to think about evil things, so give me something pure. And this is in that camp where it's supposed to be pure and wonderful. However, our main character, something is wrong with him. Obviously, it could be that he is on the spectrum, or he just has a weird issue with his ears where his hearing, he's too in depth with sound. It's something which at first is very intriguing, but then there's moments where it just derails the story entirely. And while he is a sweet boy, Yutaka can't hold the story alone. And while we do have some other characters that do show up, most of them I really did not get invested in. There's a whole thing with his best friend who wants to join the choir, but he can't because he's tone deaf. And then he has an uncle who was a soprano as well, but they don't go anywhere with that. They just kind of push it to the side. And that would have made it more compelling to have a more ensemble cast instead of just focusing on him, which is fine, but this story is very finite. There's not much you can do with it. And despite the amazing artwork, I'm going to be honest, for me personally, it's not one where I'm going to want to go back and read it again once I'm done with it. I read the first volume, I checked out the second volume, but besides that, I can take it or leave it. And I don't see, if you're not into singing, you're not going to get much out of this. And I'm into music. I love it. Just this didn't catch me as well as I thought it would. The art is amazing, but the story does lose points. So for that reason, I have to give Shonen Note, Boy Soprano, our middle of the ground rating of borrow from a friend and don't return unless to give him a crazy at Muriel. Okay, but forgettable. It's okay, but in the end, I mean, I'm going to forget about this later. It's really not, I mean, the artwork is great, but honestly, I expected more from the creator of Our Dreams at Dusk. I really did. It is a pure story, and I do like it, but I think they could do more with it. I think they didn't push it far enough. But that's my thoughts. If you've read this, you can email me personally at Xan, that's Xan, @Spiraken.com, or tweet me at Spiraken and let me know your thoughts. If you want to know what your thoughts on Shonen Note, Boy Soprano, if you liked it, if you hated it, let me know your thoughts on it. And with that in mind, let's actually get to the manga releases for the last 2 weeks, because since this is our 15-year anniversary and it's the 515th episode, I want it to be on May 15th. So in order to do that, I had to wait 2 weeks. So we're 2 weeks behind, but we've got tons of manga that came out. And a lot of them are really crazy and some are really fun. So let's get to it, shall we? So, for the week of May 2nd, what was released was Blood on the Tracks Volume 13, Blue Box Volume 4, Crossplay Love Otaku Punk Volume 4, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation Mo Dai Zushi, the novel, Volume 5, and there's a special edition which was released for Barnes & Noble specifically. I'm Not Meat, Volume 3. I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire, Volume 2. This manga is actually really addictive and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Inspector, Volume 17. Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, Volume 7. LDK 19-20, the omnibus. Life Lessons with Uramachi Oni-chan, Volume 4. Ms. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Fafnir the Recluse, Volume 2. Modern Villainous, It's Not Easy Building a Corporate Empire Before the Crash, Light Novel, Volume 3. Mushoku Tensei, Roxy Gets Serious, Volume 9. My Hero Academia, Volume 34. My Special One, Volume 2. My Stepmother and Stepsisters Aren't Wicked, Volume 1. Natsumi's Book of Friends, Volume 28. Noragami, the Omnibus 5, which is Volumes 13-15. One Punch Man, Volume 25. Queen's Quality, Volume 17. Runaway With Me Girl, Volume 3. Shaman King Flowers, Volume 1. Shabanban, Super Cute Dogs. Shoha Shoten, Volume 2. Skip Beat, Volume 48. Yes, this series is still being released. Superwomen in Love, Honey Trap and Rapid Rabbit, Volume 5. Sword of the Hunter, Demon Hunter, Kijin Gentsobu, the light novel and the manga, Volume 2. Elusive Samurai, Volume 6. The King's Beast, Volume 10. The Saint's Magic Powers Omnipotent, The Other Saint, Volume 2. The Titan's Bride, Volume 3. Trapped in a Dating Sim, The World of Otome Games is Tough for Mobs, the light novel, Volume 9. And then last and certainly not least, one I reviewed several months ago, and I'm so happy it finally was released. Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Volume 1. And then, that's for May 2nd. Now for May 9th, what was released was By the Grace of the Gods, Volume 8. Chasing After Aoi Koshiba, Volume 4. Classroom of the Elite Year 2, Light Novels, Volume 4.5. Do You Like Big Girls, Volume 7. Fly Me to the Moon, Volume 17. Helk, Volume 3. Kamen Rider Kuga, Volume 3. Mao, Volume 11. My Happy Marriage, Volume 3. My Hero Academia Vigilante, Volume 14. My Secret Affection, Volume 2. Pokemon Adventures XY, Volume 5. PTSD Radio Omnibus 3, which is Volumes 5 and 6. Skippin' Loafer, Volume 7. Slow Life in Another World, I Wish, Volume 5. Soloist in a Cage, Volume 1. Spriggan Deluxe Edition 4. The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You, Volume 6. The Art of Haikyuu, the art book. The Case Files of Jeweler Richard, light novel, Volume 4. The Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter, manga, Volume 8. There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover Unless, light novel, Volume 1. Tokyo Aliens, Volume 3. Twilight Out of Focus, Volume 1. Wolf Girl and Black Prince, Volume 1. And Yokai Watch, Volume 21. And then, before I forget, we had one more for last week, which was kind of weird, because on the 10th, there was one manga that was released, and that was Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin. So those are the manga that were released for the last 2 weeks. And I've got to say, there are tons of ones that are really good, really bad, but a lot of fun. And for me personally, the ones that I was most excited about for this, well, my top 5 for this week included The Elusive Samurai, Volume 6, Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin, Volume 5, Life Lessons with Uramachi Oni-chan, Volume 4, Skippin' Loafer, Volume 7, and then Welcome to Demon School, Volume 5. Which are the ones you're most excited about? Let me know. Email me at zanspiraken.com or tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts and your feelings about the situation and where it was. And, well, before I forget, let's actually get to something kind of cool, because this is our 15-year anniversary, and I love kind of some statistics. So let's get to some statistics about these Spiraken manga reviews, shall we? Because if you're joining us for the first time, Spiraken has been around for quite some time. We actually started all the way back in 2008. And since then, it has been crazy. I started 2008 with Mason. It was just Mason and Zan on May 15th. That was 15 years ago to this day. We originally were the Spiraken Manga Review Podcast, and then we branched out to the Spiraken Movie Review Podcast, the Spiraken Con Review, which became the Spiraken Con Report, Spiraken Anime Review, Spiraken Book Corner, which became the Spiraken Book Club, the Zan's Extraordinary Superhero Examination, our superhero show. There was the Zan Chats, where I would talk with someone with coffee randomly, our Television Tuesdays, where we talked about different TV shows, and tons of other podcasts over the years. And in the 15 years we've been around, the total amount of podcast episodes exceeds over 1,067 episodes and over 48,000 minutes, or 800 hours of audio to listen to. So if you're joining us for the first time, we have tons of episodes you can listen to. Some of the early stuff is not as polished as it is now. I used to be a little bit more edgelordy, but we've changed over time. We've evolved, and we've become more succinct at what we're doing. And that's not including the amount of time I spent editing each episode, because each episode takes about 4 hours to edit originally. So think about that. If it's a 40-minute episode plus 4 hours, do the math. It's a lot. So besides our audio, we started our YouTube channel, started doing videos for YouTube as well, including reactions, movie reviews, and some really cool content, which you can check out youtube.com/Spiraken. But we have over 114 episodes on there as well. So there's tons of content if you want to check it out. Also, our total number of co-hosts are 20, and that's including guest hosts. It's everyone from original co-host Mason all the way to Greta. And ironically, the co-host who's done the most episodes was Baz, of course. For those of you who don't know who Baz is, he's one of our more interesting co-hosts who shows up occasionally. Since I'm no longer in the same state as him, it's a little bit harder. But you have Baz, you have Cal, you have Deke, Timbo, Demona, Mason, of course, we cannot forget Raze and Lethal, and there's so many other co-hosts, and also guest hosts. Sean Russell, who ironically I saw on that one game show, The Gambler, which was really funny. I'm like, wait, that's Sean. Why is he on there? Kind of crazy, but Vinny from All Geeks Considered, and tons of other co-hosts. And I thank each and every one of you. You guys have been awesome, and I definitely would love to do something amazing with you guys. But we'll iron the details out on that later. And with that, well, that's all we've been doing for the last couple of years, and it's been kind of crazy. It goes so fast, and it really does kind of just poof and get there, you know? It just jumps, and you think that, oh, this is just going to be a temporary thing, and it's not. It really isn't. And originally we were going to be done by episode 15, but then just it started spiraling into control. I mean, we got our first review where it was creator of a comic book that is about, well, a post-apocalyptic world. He wanted to do an interview, and then from there just became other things as well. I mean, I've done podcasts, I've been a panelist. My life has changed dramatically since I started doing this podcast, and it's been for the better. And more important than that, thank all of you who are listening. I appreciate and watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Every email I get, every comment I get, it just gives me more motivation to keep doing this. And I am going to keep doing this till I'm an old man who has to read manga with thick, thick glasses. And you're all awesome. I'd love to do more, but I'm going to keep some of this for the Patreon, some of the other things we're going to be talking about. So let's actually remember to like, share, and subscribe beforehand. You can do that at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spiraken, or our website, www.spiraken.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and various other social media sites. And if you enjoy what you hear, join our Patreon at patreon.com/Spiraken. Help us create more fun content for you to enjoy. I'm currently overhauling it because some of the episodes got corrupted, and we're fixing things, so if it doesn't look like there's a lot of content, there is a lot of content. Just bear with me. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. But I digress. So I think that's just about it for this episode. One more thing before we get to that part you've all been waiting for. In 2 weeks, I will be at Animazement. Yes, I'm going to be there not as a panelist, but as press, because I'm in a new location, as you could tell. I'll admit, I'm now in North Carolina. So that's my new digs. No longer Massachusetts. No longer in Masshole. Now I'm a Carolinian, or I think that's what they're called down here. But we're going to see. So I'll be at Animazement at the last weekend of May, and then after that I'll be at Otakon, where I think I submitted 5 panels. We'll see if I get any of them, but I will be at Otakon, and that's the last week of July. So anyway, and so for the 15th year and for the 515th time, it's time for that one, that only, the Wheel of Manga! Yes, friends, the Wheel of Manga, except no substitute. So, for those of you who are joining us the first time, and it has been a while, what is the Wheel of Manga? The Wheel of Manga is a Wheel of Fortune with 10 slots on it. And what I've done is I've assigned a manga title at each of the 10 slots. And we're going to sort of spin the wheel. Whatever number it lands on, the manga that's in that spot is the one we're going to review in the next episode of the Spiraken Manga Review, episode 516. We've got some great titles on here, and let's spin and see what we're going to review in the next episode, shall we? Number 3, My Sister the Cat. Whoa, that's one I didn't expect. So I know it's kind of a gag comic, but it's going to be kind of cool. I've never actually read it, so we'll see how it goes. But as usual, thank you so much for watching and listening. Every email I get, every comment I get gives me more inspiration to keep doing this podcast. And I've been doing this for 15 years, and I love it. I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can. So thank you. As usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. Catch you guys next time, and keep reading manga. See you later.